Hey folks, welcome back to DCS. We're back in the Mirage 2000 today. I'm starting to be conscious of covering this jet a little bit too much, but I don't do this video making lark for my job, obviously. I do it for fun, and if I'm not enjoying it, then the love of it just dies in a fire pretty quickly. So I'm just going to have to hope that you like what I like and stick around, I guess. I will be looking eventually into the F-16 in WarThunder because I do have it unlocked, but I don't have the money to buy it. And the task of getting the money to buy it is unfun in the same way as flying stuff I don't want to fly is. So it's going to be a while before it happens probably, but I will get there eventually. About a week ago I made a video where I asked you what video length you were happy with and what you'd actually like to see, and one comment really resonated with me. I can't remember his name, so I apologise. If I remember, I'll stick a screen grab of it on the screen. But he said that he wanted to see stories, and I really like that idea. So what I'm going to try and do is flesh out my journey to getting an ace in one flight in the Mirage 2000. And I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't happen in this video. The clips you're seeing in the background are just kills, just to have some footage to talk over basically. There are a few here and there that I will break down for you to sort of point out a few things that are relevant to the other stuff I'm talking about. But what I mainly want to make you aware of is how difficult getting an ace in the Mirage actually is. And I have had more aces in a day than I can count. So the difference between an ace in a day and an ace in general, an ace in a day means that you can land and rearm any number of times, and as long as you get 5 kills without dying, you've done it. So you could take off, you could use every single missile, all your gun ammo, all your fuel to only get 1 kill. You make it back land, you go out, do it again another 4 times. You've got 5 kills, you didn't die, mission accomplished, you got an ace in a day. Ace in a flight, you can't go back and rearm. The Mirage only carries 4 missiles. 2 Fox 1s and 2 Fox 2s. It carries about 3 tons of fuel, which for the Americans is about just somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 pounds. So it's about the same as a Viper, but it is a lot more fuel efficient than the Viper, at least in my experience. I think it has a lot more loiter time than the Viper does. And it also carries a fuel tank, which if you use it to get to altitude without using the burner too excessively, actually lasts quite a long time. You only have 4 missiles. 2 are BVR missiles, 2 are short range missiles. The BVR missiles are, at least in an 80s setting, which is where I've been flying the Mirage, better than everything else you have to face. But the IR missiles, it's a bit debatable. They have very short range and they're quite susceptible to flares. When it comes to dogfight performance, the Mirage is an absolute beast, but because it favours the one circle fight regime, everything else, if it catches you in a low energy state, has quite a big advantage because it's difficult for you to come back from a fuck up, whereas for them it's a lot easier. So right here we're engaging a Tomcat. He fired at me about 20 miles, which is pushing it for his Sparrows, and I think he knew that, so the second I fire back on him, he runs cold. And running cold is, when you fight a Mirage, a fairly surefire way of making them waste a 530. The problem you have then is that the Mirage is extremely fast and it will chase you down and kill you pretty much every time. And you have to basically turn hot on him and kill him again at some point, because otherwise he will catch you. It doesn't matter what you're flying, a Mirage is going to catch you. So this guy's actually being engaged by another friendly, which you probably can't see due to YouTube compression. So I'm chasing him down, I'm going to fire another 530 at him. Struggling to get a lock, I'm trying to illuminate him with the Magic Seekers, which is why I've changed to the Magics. So he is manoeuvring and launching on the friendly. And I, at this point, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought he was hot on me, not cold. And that's why I'm manoeuvring and popping flares. The missile he's firing is actually away from me, not towards me, so it was just me being a bit dumb. But we kill him. The situation that he got himself in is my nightmare, because if I get caught unaware by someone behind me, they fire a Sparrow at me, I know that if it were me, I wouldn't fire a missile on someone running cold unless I knew I was close enough for it to outrange or outrun them and still kill them. In that situation, turning hot is just going to make the missile kill you faster. So for me to improve my chances a lot of getting an ace in a flight, I'm going to have to train either through trial and error or with some one-on-ones with someone. Ways to defeat sparrows at close range, fired tail like from behind me, and figure out a way of not dying to them. And I'm not sure there is a way of surviving that situation. Not reliably anyway. I think terrain masking is probably about the only surefire solution. And you can't always rely on that, obviously, because people might just surprise you, which is kind of the point of them catching you unaware. And my best chance of getting an ace is to catch other people unaware. If I can just fly around all ninja mode and pop out of nowhere and kill people from such short range they don't have an opportunity to do anything about it, that's easier. But the problem with doing that, you have to stay low, you have to do pop-up attacks, and staying low means you use way more fuel because you're far less fuel efficient at low altitudes, you have thicker air to push through. And it means that your situational awareness is less because you're not receiving any signals from anything. You can't really use TAF when you're down low because the signal can't be transmitted to you if there's mountains between you and the stations. And if you do spot anyone at a high altitude like right now, I'm forced to afterburn up to them, which uses even more fuel than just staying around low on the deck does. I have to somehow sort of chop and change my flying style depending on what weapon I'm trying to use. To use my Fox 1s most effectively, I want to stay up really high and really fast, which uses a shitload of fuel because it involves a lot of accelerating. And for using my Fox 2s, I want to stay really low and sneaky in the mountains, which uses a lot of fuel because I'm low and the fuel efficiency is worse. And then you factor in the fact that just because I fired a missile on someone doesn't mean it's going to hit. So like here, that was a very short range, like perfect parameter shot pretty much, but just because he was flaring was enough to defeat the magic, which just seemed to love going for flares. So to up your chances with them, you have to fire them in a tail aspect because the engine heat is more likely to overcome the flare heat in that situation. But when that is the case, their range sucks because you're shooting at someone from behind. They obviously can reach further if you fire them head on, but if you fire them head on, they're more likely to see it and flare off. So there are so many dynamics to this whole process. I haven't been actively trying to do it because if you make the whole purpose of your play session to do one thing and you don't achieve it, all it does is fuck you off and you get really pissed off and ratty about it and you have a shit day. I'm trying to just fly for fun, and if it happens, I'm hoping that all the stuff I'm outlining right now will end up having happened for it to work, because I just don't see any other way. So I am, whilst flying for fun, being mindful of the fact that I feel usage is a big deal. My engagement style is a big deal, and I should only launch if I have a very high chance of hit, especially if they aren't currently any threat to me. So in this example right now, this Hornet was running cold. He was under 7 miles, and the missile timer said it was a 20-second flight on a missile that has a 45-second battery life. He was already cold, so no matter what he did, if he turned, he would have closed in quicker, the missile should have reached him easier, and it should have been, it was basically a guarantee. But he notched me for like 4 seconds at one point, and what that meant was that the missile lost track long enough that when it regained him, it couldn't see him with the seeker head, and he defeated the missile by accident. So to offset that waste, I gun kill him because I have enough guns to kill probably 5 or 6 guys. It's just impossibly difficult to set yourself up to do that reliably every time. So killing this guy with guns was my way of making up for wasting the missile. But that's really not a sustainable model for getting 5 kills in a flight. What I've been trying to do is get the gun kill before I run out of missiles, because then if I fuck up the gun kill and somehow end up defensive, I don't have to work as hard to turn it back around, and if I do get, you know, a slight opportunity to get a missile off, I can sort of bail myself out of a bad situation. Whereas if I didn't have missiles left and I fucked up the gun kill, I've fucked up everything I've got and I'm probably going to die. So here we're fighting a Tomcat, ideal situation for the Mirage. We're way up high. We started off at 40,000 feet at like 1.6, 1.7 I think. He fired at stupid range, like 30 miles. The Sparrow is never, ever, ever gonna reach a target at 30 miles, even at the speeds we do. So I'm just lazily sort of spiraling around. I returned fire at 22 miles when my missile flight time was in the 20-second range. He is defending fairly difficult. He's defending pretty hard, and it's still gonna get him. There it is. Using the 530s in situations like that is what I want to do. But being that high, being that fast, I'd use up like a third of my fuel on one kill, maybe even half my fuel on one kill. And that's if there's someone actually there to kill in the first place, because I have to get up there before I know there's anyone up there to shoot at. And if they're down low, then I lose a lot of what I spent by coming back down to kill them. So sometimes it's just not worth the effort. Here I come up behind this Hornet, and he doesn't know that I'm here. I find him with the Magic Seekers, so I don't use the radar until I get a lot closer, because I'm going to go for a gun kill. And when I'm offensive and I come up behind someone, they're going to have to really, really work hard to shake a Mirage off, because I can point the nose at anything, pretty much, in this situation. You'll notice that he actually turned away from me quite a bit there. I find myself using the air brakes in the Mirage quite a lot, because above about 450 knots, it actually turns like shit. It compresses super, super hard. So I have to use the air brakes to pull my speed below about 450, 400, and then I can just whip the nose around, point my nose, whatever it is. But if I don't kill them in 1 or 2 turns, if I don't have sufficient altitude, it's very difficult for me to claw that back without missiles, which is precisely why I've been trying to save them and go for the gun kill before I use them all. So right here we've got I think it's an F-15 from memory. We're way, way high up at 45,000 feet or so. He is within Fox 1 range right now. He's head on, so I'm going to fire. He's only 16 miles away. Missile timer is saying it's a 26-second to impact at the time of launch. So if he goes cold, so long as he doesn't go cold for so long that timer ends up doubling in time, the missile still has a fair shot getting him. Right now I think he's trying to notch me, but it's not quite working out for him. He's about 10 degrees off. You see that, so it's saying 80 and 75. That's the angle he is off from me. 180 would be head on directly, and 0 would be completely cold. He defeats the missile kinematically because he's down low and he bleeds the missile's energy out. So even though the timer and the range looked good, the parameters, the kinematic performance of the missile just wasn't there. So here's that situation I was saying that I don't want to find myself in, where someone is behind me and they fire a missile on me whilst I'm running cold, because he's turning hot, and what that means is that he's bleeding the missile's energy off because he's making it maneuver. But I wouldn't have fired that missile if I knew that him doing that would make it bleed off too much energy to hit him, because I'm going to wait until I'm so close that it doesn't matter what he does, he's dead. And I assume other people will do that too. So when I get fired on from behind, when I'm running cold, and it's a Fox 1, do I keep running and just sort of like wiggle around and hope that that's enough to bleed the energy off, or try and mask behind something? Or do is there a way of turning hot? Like, is there an aspect you can pull in that means that you bleed the missile's energy off and reduce its chance of hitting you? I think some experimentation is needed, or maybe some anecdotal evidence from you guys. Because right now, whenever I find myself in that situation, is mostly when I fuck up and die. And the other thing is, with DCS spotting being as difficult as it actually is, if I don't see them fire the missile and maintain visual through the whole of me turning hot, even with radar, I don't always find them again, and then they end up in a situation where they know exactly where I am because they started behind me. But I lose situational awareness in the turnaround. If I don't see them, I'm fucked, because I'm basically in dogfighting range, but blind, and they aren't. So avoiding that is something that I need to work on as well. But hopefully that has helped sort of flesh out the difficulty involved in this challenge I've set for myself, so that when I do it and I run you through how I did it, a lot of what I've talked about here will come to light, and we'll have some sort of workable examples, and it'll all makes sense, and you'll appreciate how much skill and difficulty was involved in the whole process. But yeah, so thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next one, I hope. Cheers.